Have you ever been alone on a dark highway at night? The kind of night where even your own headlights seem too weak to push back the shadows. Imagine you're driving, the road stretching endlessly ahead, and then you see her. A young woman standing by the side of the road asking for a ride. At first, it feels normal, but something about her stare freezes you. There is a chill in the air that has nothing to do with the temperature. Her smile is polite, almost empty. You let her in. She sits silently, barely speaking, and then you notice, every time you glance at the rearview mirror, her reflection is not there. Or maybe it is just for a second before vanishing completely. Could your mind be playing tricks? Or is something far more unsettling happening? By the time you realize what is wrong, it may already be too late. Highways at night have a rhythm. The headlights carve paths through darkness, the tires hum on asphalt, and the silence outside is almost oppressive. Most travelers would not think twice if they saw a lone hitchhiker, but this story is not about any hitchhiker. It is about one who does not belong to this world, or at least not anymore. Reports of mysterious hitchhikers exist all over the world. In the United States alone, dozens of drivers have reported picking up women or men on deserted roads only to discover later that the person vanished or that they had died years before. Urban legends call it the Vanishing Hitchhiker, but behind the legends there are countless testimonies from real people who swear they experienced it. Take John, for instance. He was driving late on a rural highway in Texas, heading home after a long shift. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw a young woman standing alone, soaked from an unexpected rain. Compassion and caution collided. He slowed, stopped, and offered her a ride. She climbed in silently. At first, the ride was normal, or as normal as a midnight highway could be. But John could not shake the feeling that something was off. Every few minutes he glanced at the rearview mirror, expecting to see the usual reflection. Instead, he saw nothing. Or rather, he saw a glimpse of something that should not be there. As the miles stretched behind him, the radio started flickering, static replacing the music. The air grew colder. When John finally reached the spot she had asked to be dropped off, the seat was empty. No sound. No movement, no sign she had ever been there, just his own racing heartbeat and the faint echo of a voice he could not place. What is fascinating is not only that these encounters happen, but the consistency of the details. Drivers report that the hitchhiker often gives an address that doesn't exist or asks to be dropped at a place where no one has lived for decades. The description is always similar: a young woman, neatly dressed, polite, sometimes with a small suitcase or coat, and always her eyes. There is something about them that lingers in your memory long after the ride. Then there is the psychological twist. Neuroscientists have studied how fear and surprise affect memory. When your brain encounters something unpredictable, like a person disappearing mid-ride, it enhances memory retention. That's why these stories feel unforgettable. You don't just see the event, your mind replays it endlessly, examining every detail, searching for answers that may never exist. In another case, a couple was driving through rural New Jersey when they noticed a woman waving at the roadside. They stopped, she got in, thanked them, and requested a specific intersection. On the way, she barely spoke. After a few miles, the passengers noticed something odd. The car temperature dropped sharply, her breath visible in the air, even though the AC was off. And when they finally reached the intersection, the woman was gone. Empty seat. No sound. No trace she had ever been there. Just their rearview mirror reflected a faint silhouette, just for a heartbeat, before disappearing entirely. You might wonder, how can multiple people experience such consistent phenomena across decades and continents? Is it coincidence, mass suggestion, or something else entirely? Some drivers, after realizing the hitchhiker is gone, attempt to investigate. They contact local authorities, check addresses, sometimes dig into old newspapers. In nearly every case, the hitchhiker turns out to have been deceased, sometimes for years, sometimes decades. A man in Oregon gave a ride to a young woman in the 1970s. When he asked her name, she whispered softly, "I died last Tuesday." He thought it was a joke, laughed nervously. Only months later did he find an obituary matching her description. The timing, the location, it was eerily precise. Science struggles to explain these incidents. Some researchers suggest it's an extreme form of déjà vu mixed with the mind's reaction to isolation and darkness. Others propose residual energy, the idea that emotional events can imprint themselves on locations, somehow interacting with unsuspecting travelers. Whether true or not, the people involved don't feel comforted by rational explanations. The fear, the unease, the sense that something does not belong, that lingers. And what if the hitchhiker is not always a woman? Some stories involve men, teenagers, even children. The common thread is the unnatural silence, the vanishings, and the chilling feeling that someone is watching you, even after the seat is empty. The unnerving part of these stories is how personal they feel. Most drivers describe a combination of guilt, wonder, and fear. They ask themselves, what if I had ignored her? Or did she mean me harm? Often they replay the encounter countless times, trying to find clues, patterns, anything to make sense of what happened. One driver in Pennsylvania recalls giving a ride to a girl on a foggy night. She sat silently, her hands folded neatly, as if she had been waiting for him all along. When he reached her requested drop-off point, she was gone. Later, he realized that he had passed the same spot multiple times before she appeared. Was he chosen? Was she seeking closure? Or was it merely a projection of his own fears? The stories leave more questions than answers, but maybe that's the point. We live in a world where the unknown walks beside us, sometimes silently, sometimes briefly, and then disappears. Perhaps the fear, the mystery, the unexplainable are what make the ordinary roads we travel every day suddenly feel alive. Imagine yourself driving alone tonight. You see someone standing in the distance, motionless on the side of the road. Would you stop? Would you drive past? And if you stopped, could you handle the truth? The mysterious hitchhiker is more than a legend. It's a mirror, reflecting our deepest fears about isolation, mortality, and the unknown. Every encounter, whether real or imagined, forces us to confront what we don't understand. And maybe that's why the stories persist. Somewhere between the shadows and the headlights, between silence and the hum of tires on asphalt, the world quietly reminds us that not everything is as it seems, that the unexplained, the eerie, and the inexplicable can exist just beyond our perception. So tonight, as you lie in bed, think of the roads you have traveled, the strangers you have passed, and the shadows that might follow you home. Remember, sometimes the hitchhiker you never saw